Welcome to Home Cooking with Holly. Today we're going to make homemade pizza. I'm going to show you two different ways that I usually make my crust. You can buy a store-bought crust if you want to, but I'm going to show you one that doesn't require equipment, and I'm going to show you one that I use my bread machine with. And we'll make some wonderful pizzas, so I hope you follow along. So to start, I have my bread machine here, and I'm going to layer my ingredients in here. I'm going to start out with half a cup of warm water plus 2 tablespoons of warm water. The heat helps to activate the yeast. And next I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of salt. And I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of active yeast. You can also use bread machine yeast, but I found it really doesn't matter which one I use. Next, we need 1 tablespoon of sugar. And then we need to add 1 tablespoon of butter, and I've just sliced it up into little pieces here. Now the next thing we do is add bread flour. Now remember, bread flour has more gluten, more protein, and it's going to help our dough to have a better texture, a chewier texture. So I'm going to add 2 cups of bread flour. In a pinch, you can use all-purpose flour. Your dough will just be a little bit softer, and sometimes I find it's harder to spread when I use all-purpose flour. Next, I'm going to open up my old bread machine here, and I'm just going to pop the insert into it. Follow the instructions on your bread machine. They're all very similar but also slightly different. Then I want to select dough pasta because I'm just going for a dough here. I don't want it to bake anything. And then I just hit start and I let it run. When it's done, this is what it looks like. And I just punch the dough down and pull it right on out, and it's ready to make a pizza. Next, I'm going to make a pizza crust without any equipment. All right, I'm going to use bread flour again. And you know, they do have gluten-free flour that you can buy. It's an all-purpose version of flour, but it is gluten-free. So if you wanted to make this crust gluten-free, you could. I'm going to start out with 1 cup of my bread flour. And I'm going to add 2 1/4 teaspoons of active yeast. You can also use a packet if you have those packets of yeast. Next, I'm going to add 1½ teaspoons of sugar. And then we need 3/4 teaspoon of salt. You could add some garlic powder or basil to this if you'd like also, but I prefer to use the herbs in my sauce. Then I need 2 tablespoons of olive oil. And this again is a recipe for 1 single crust, just like the bread machine recipe was. You can always double these to get 2 crusts. And finally, I'm going to add 3/4 cup of warm water. This will help to activate the yeast. If you like to activate your yeast first, if you've had a lot of experience with baking, you're welcome to do that. It's not necessary with this recipe, but you could definitely proof the yeast first. And if you wanted to do that, you would do the yeast, the sugar, the salt, and the warm water, and just let it sit for about 10 minutes until it gets bubbly and foamy, and then you would add the rest of your ingredients. And you can see it's very wet because I do need to add more flour. Now I'm going to add another cup of flour. We want to form a nice dough ball in the center of this bowl. I'm just going to keep mixing. If you wanted to use equipment for this, you could add this to a mixer, stand mixer, and use the dough hook as well. Now I'm just going to start kneading that dough a little bit with my hands. And if I feel it's too sticky, I can add up to another 1/3 cup of flour without making this dough too stiff. And again, the all-purpose flour will give you a softer crust. The bread flour will give you a chewier crust, which is what I'm going for here. Now I'm just going to add some olive oil to my bowl and spread that around a little bit. Put a little more in there. I just want to coat the bottom and up to part of the sides of the bowl here, just so my dough doesn't stick while it's rising. Then I'm going to form my dough into a rough ball here again. Make sure I've got it coated on both sides with that olive oil. Then I'm going to cover it and I'm going to let it rise for 30 minutes. And then I'm going to knead this dough until it's smooth. You want to incorporate a little more flour in there as you're doing this. And just kind of press with the heel of your hand and roll that dough. You don't have to do it a lot. You don't want to overhandle the dough or it'll become tough. But we do want it to become more smooth and elastic. It makes it easier to spread. And then I'm just going to cover it back up and let it rest for about 10 minutes. Now you can see that I have both of my pizza doughs rolled out. I did the bread machine one into a circle, and I did the handmade one into a rectangle. And you can do whichever shape you prefer. You could also make individual pizzas, and you can use both of these recipes to make calzones as well. Now I'm going to use my dough docker. You can also use a fork if you don't have a dough docker. I know it's not hugely common, but it's very handy. And I'm going to punch holes into this dough, but not on the very edge, because I do want the edge to rise a little for a crust. And you can see one of my granddaughters is here helping me out with this. They love to help me in the kitchen. I do think it's important to teach your kids to cook and bake when they're younger. I started cooking at a very young age. I've gained so much knowledge and experience in the kitchen. I'm comfortable in the kitchen, and it's good to make sure our kids have that independent skill. All right, next we're going to spread on some pizza sauce. You can make your own. I've done that before as well. I'll do that when I show you how to make my calzones in another video. But I'm just going to use a store-bought sauce on this one and just spread out a nice layer. And again, my little granddaughter is going to help me out here. And now we're going to add the cheese. I have some mozzarella cheese here. I pre-shred mine and I keep it in little bags in the freezer. But you can also buy the cheese from the store. You can see mine's just a little bit frozen still. We're going to break it up here, but it's mostly thawed. And we're just going to add a nice layer of cheese all over the pizza. Next, you can put whatever toppings you like. We're going to do the rectangle pizza with pepperoni and black olives, which is my personal favorite. And my granddaughter wants cheese pizza, so she's going to leave half of her pizza just cheese, and the other half she's going to add some pepperonis onto. I'm just going to help her get her little dividing line here so she knows where to stop. You can make these pizzas completely vegetarian if you'd like. You can make them meat lovers type pizzas, whatever you'd like to do. And now I'm going to sprinkle the black olives that I've sliced in half onto my pizza here. And she's going to just add a little more cheese to hers in a minute. And now another little bit of cheese. We're going to put another layer on, but not completely covering everything like we did before. This is more of a sprinkling layer, just to help all of those toppings melt in together and get that bubbly cheese on the top. You could also sprinkle on some Parmigiano Reggiano if you'd like to do that. But our pizzas are ready to put into the oven. And my oven is at 425 degrees. I'm going to pop these in for about 15 minutes. And here they are after 15 minutes. The round one looks pretty good. The rectangular one, I think I'm going to pop in for 2 to 3 more minutes, just to make it a little bubblier. It looks a little bit doughy still, but the circular pizza is ready to go. And here's some of the circular pizza. That's what I was going for. All right, did you give it a try? What were your favorite toppings? Let me know in the comments below. I hope that you'll like and subscribe to follow me for more recipes and cooking tips. I'll see you next time.